Let's go to Brad Schwartz. He's running as a person for a state Senate seat in New York in their 7th district, District 7. So this is a really important race for reasons that we're going to get into. But first, Brad, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Cenk. I'm really thrilled to be here. I know I'm a little bit dark on the screen. I was told that before, but
okay.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for having the show, and bringing exposure to progressive candidates like myself who don't usually get a forum this big. So it's exciting.
Oh yeah, no problem, Brad. Well, so you're in a very important race because you're running against Elaine Phillips for a state Senate seat in New York. Now, why is that seat so important for the Senate in New York?
Yes. So the District 7 seat is considered to be the top swing seat in the entire New York state government. And the reason is that in order for Democrats to take back control of the New York State Senate, we only need to flip one seat from red to blue. And if we can accomplish that, we would not only take back the state Senate, well, we'd win back the entire government of New York State. We take Albany. And of course, that's not just a statewide victory, that's a national victory. To be able to add the Empire State to, the coalition of resistance against Donald Trump and, the GOP-controlled federal government. So unfortunately, because of decades of gerrymandering, there are only 2 swing seats left in New York State, even in the blue wave, for Democrats to flip. I'm running in one of those 2 seats, and the seat I'm running in is considered to be the top prospect that Democrats have to win back the state Senate in Albany. The reason is that we have 30% more, I'll repeat that, 30% more registered Democrats than Republicans in the district.
So Brad, I don't know if you know the whole history of it, but I'm curious about that. In a district that has 30% more Democrats than Republicans, at least registered ones.
Yes.
How did the Democrats wind up losing this seat to the Republican in the first place?
Yeah, it's a great question. Elaine Phillips won in 2016 by 2% of the vote, when Hillary Clinton carried the district by 13 percentage points. Because of the strategic significance of this particular seat, it ended up being in 2016 the most expensive state legislative race in New York history, and I believe the 3rd most expensive state legislative race in U.S. history. About $8.5 million was spent on the race. I don't think anybody ever expected a state Senate race to get that expensive. And in the process, Republicans outspent the Democrat by about 2 to 1. And I do believe, and many people believe, that's what was able to allow them to take the seat.
That's amazing that they put $8.5 million into a state Senate seat, not a U.S. Senate seat.
Yeah,
that's
I know.
Nuts.
How much is New York State worth?
Wow, it's apparently worth a lot of money to a lot of people. They're not spending that money for their health; they're spending it because they're buying a state senator.
That's right.
So let's talk about the individual contributions, because I think that tells the story a lot. What percentage of your contributions come from small individual donors, and what percentage of your opponents, Elaine Phillips, come from big donors?
Sure. So at this point, about 97 to 98% of my donations come from individual donors. Elaine Phillips collects about 88% of hers from big money, corporations and super PACs. I'm very proud to say, and this is a testament not to myself, but to the grassroots energy that's out there, that I was able to outraise her in the last filing quite substantially.
Wow.
With individual donations. In fact, I was actually able to outraise 53 out of the 63 sitting state senators who receive most of their money, again, from, big money. So,
Brad, that's amazing. How are you doing that?
Thank you. I think I'm very tapped into the sentiment that's out there. I'm a first-time candidate, and I was motivated to do this. I'm on a mission. And that mission started off, I want to be able to pass universal health care in New York State. I never wanted to be a politician. And I think people are looking for voices that are outside of, the political echo chamber. And they're looking for people that, are independent. And, I'm definitely willing to buck the party sometimes I enjoy it, to tell you the truth. And I think that, and I think that's what people are looking for. And most of my fundraising happens in people's living rooms. I don't cold call anybody. I ask friends and family and community members to hold events in their homes where I can speak to people and it's intimate. And I think that bringing humanity back into the process is really resonating with people. So,
yeah, that's amazing. Are there a lot of Democrats in this primary or no?
There's only one other Democrat in this primary.
Are you the more progressive one?
Yes, yes. I am the more progressive candidate. In fact, one would expect, well, not expect, after my fundraising that I would be embraced by the party. I wasn't. I think
that doesn't. I already know you're the more progressive one.
No, of course not. Yes, and I think they actually don't like the idea of having a grassroots progressive candidate, and they recruited somebody to run against me. And I describe her as for a race that's this important to actually have created a primary, it's mind-boggling. That was the last thing that the party needed. Not only did they create a primary, I guess they were so threatened by, my campaign, they brought out all their biggest guns to try to bully me out of the race, including the governor. And I'll tell you something, I take it as a compliment, because the governor felt that he had to break all political protocol because the governor's not supposed to get involved in state legislative races. So I think it's a testament to how strong my campaign is and to the fact that they know, I'm somebody who's not going to fall in line. The primary opponent that I have was appointed 7 years ago to her position. And since then, she has never once dissented from the party on a single vote. And I'm talking about over 5,000 votes she's taken as a town councilwoman, and she's never once dissented. So for them, that's the safe bet. That's what they're looking for in a candidate. They want to know that when she gets to Albany, that she will do what she's told and fall in line. And I'm not that kind of candidate.
All right, I got to tell everybody about SchwartzForSenate.com. All right, and I'll tell you why.
Thank you.
Okay, because so it's impossible for me to know every candidate and to know all of your issues, and that's why sometimes I hesitate when people ask me to endorse people or the show to endorse people, because hard to know exactly who's more progressive on each issue. But in your case, Brad, if you've got the number one telltale sign that you're a real progressive, which is that you have raised more money than your opponent in small dollar donations, and the party still doesn't like you, and still doesn't.
That's right.
Right. That means you're definitely a progressive, and and they're not interested in that. They've never had a corporate Democrat that raised more money where they're like, well, no, we don't want your money. That's never happened. Not in my lifetime.
Right.
Right.
No.
And then secondarily, Cuomo, for him to come down and try to insert a candidate against you, that means he thinks he can't control you, which is awesome. Okay, so
thank you.
Everybody check out SchwartzForSenate.com. The 4 is a number, okay, Schwartz, the letter 4, Senate.com. And then if you're watching this later on YouTube and Facebook, we'll have the links to donate and to volunteer. Those are incredibly important for true progressive candidates. And obviously Brad's doing a great job of rallying his community there. Go help him fight the power and make sure a real progressive wins there and swing the Senate. I tell the audience all the time, Brad, that the Democratic Party and their infinite, they claim wisdom, I claim the opposite, lost 69 out of the 99 state legislatures. In order to do that, you got to lose in deeply blue places like Connecticut and New York, and they lost the New York Senate for no reason. So if Brad wins, they could regain that New York Senate and make it 68 at least instead of 69. So Brad Schwartz, thank you for fighting a good fight and joining us here at Rebel Headquarters.
Thank you so much, Cenk. I really appreciate this.